This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
And we are still not tired on episode number 33 of Two Bad Hombres this week. I am your host, Vito Jerome Churko, alongside my usual sidekick and partner in crime. That is the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles McElroon. John, how's it going?
Vito, welcome to the weekend, sir. Always enjoy our conversations. My goodness, you jam-packed this podcast. What do you got for us this week on Two Bad Hombres?
Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone, who's worked with me in the past. He's a great high school football guy, recruiting guy. He'll be on to discuss high school football news and notes to kick off the season, Doc.
What does the D-Zone actually stand for?
Doc, it's not what you think. Okay, get your head out of the gutter, please, okay? As he is a reputable man who covers high school football throughout the state, so he'll be on first. And then my buddy, Brett Karwowicz. Do you remember Brett when he came into the studio?
No doubt about it.
For what episode, Doc?
Yes, sir. Episode number 1. The very first time you walked in here for Tigers Talk, it was you, Brett, and Dom, and you guys looked like you had deer in the headlights looks, but you guys pulled it off, and we've been going strong ever since, man.
You weren't even used on Tigers Talk then. For the first 5 or something. Remember that? You didn't even have a voice. Now you have a voice. You have a voice here on Two Bad Hombres, and Brett, once again, will be along to discuss the total solar eclipse. He went to Nashville, Tennessee to see it, so he was like live on the scene. We assigned him. You know, Two Bad Hombres has paid him to go there, and he covered it.
Looking forward to the high school football chat with your guest, but how involved were you with the eclipse? Because for me, it was just a big hullabaloo of nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody was getting all excited. Everybody got organized. Vito, I saw, Nightline. I was up late on Monday. I was up late Monday evening. I saw the Nightline report, and there were parties. People had backyard gatherings. They took days off of work. They got these glasses. I do feel bad now, though, that my wife was really excited. She wanted me to go out and get glasses. I just never did. I never thought it was that important.
What a horrible husband.
But I saw the fact that this doesn't happen all that much, this total eclipse nonsense. But I was outside. You saw on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, I was making a mockery of it as the intern reporter with the wrestling mask on.
I was like, what the heck are you wearing? I mean, that got me distracted like I told you via text. I didn't even know what you were talking about.
See, I'm so surprised that people didn't get it. The whole joke was I said I got the proper mask where my eyes were exposed. Get it? See, you guys don't get the irony of the joke. It was supposed to be a joke in that I have the proper glasses, but I wasn't. I was wearing a wrestling mask so that if I were to look up, I would go blind.
Oh, because you wanted to, huh?
No, I didn't want to look. I wasn't paying attention. I was making a mockery of the whole thing.
Yeah, because you weren't going to watch. You didn't watch.
And then so the build-up happens. I go to the bank real fast because it was in between clients. I go to the bank. I rush back. I'm driving. So I get back to the office at about 2:20. So I sit in the car and wait, and it gets a little bit dimmer, a little bit chillier, but all in all, it didn't go dark, and we got gypped. Did you know that Michigan, with the coverage, could only see 80% of the eclipse, even if you had the glasses? It was all a big hullabaloo for me. I didn't understand why all this week this was blown up to this. There must be a lot of scientific geeks out there that really like this kind of stuff. And I saw on Nightline that there are people that actually go around and chase this stuff, and they plan, the next one I think you can see in Cleveland in 2024. My wife wants me to take her and the kids to Cleveland in
April 8th. My brother's birthday, by the way, who loves all this stuff. He was checking it out, by the way.
The thought that I keep having regarding this is they can pinpoint the exact day and minute when this stuff takes place. Yet celebrities like Tiger Woods and Lindsey Vonn can't find a way to hide their nudie photos private and keep them private, right? We are so sophisticated in terms of science.
Well, they're scientists. Are Tiger Woods and Lindsey Vonn scientists? Clearly not.
No, but the scientists should be able to figure out how we can lock our phones.
Also, we can just take nudes all the time then, right? Is that what you're saying? So these guys aren't susceptible to any of that?
Now I got to ask, did you peek?
I have been. I heard about it. I know news broke regarding that. Tiger Woods now is, dealing with this, another thing on his plate when he doesn't need to deal with anything more than what he already is.
Well, I saw
mentally
both.
Coping with.
I saw both, and unfortunately, in that department, he's more Asian than African American.
Oh, so what is that? I don't know what you mean. I don't know. I have any idea. Maybe somebody else will figure it out.
I can't believe that in this day and age, in 2017, that celebrities still have any kind of naked photos on their phones. Unbelievable. But getting back to the eclipse. How involved were you? Did your brother get into it? Mom, dad? And where were you 227 on Monday?
When I want to have fun, I'll just say this. I'm going out to the bar. I'm going out to Madison's and Mount Clemens, somewhere like that, to have my fun. I'm not taking 2 minutes out of my day, which was busy, relatively busy this past Monday, to look at the sun with, specialized glasses, don't affect my eyesight. And then I see my president, Donald Trump, look at the sun without any glasses, any protective measures. And that was a total Donald Trump move. A total frat move, bro. Because I didn't take any attention to it. I didn't try to look at it. I didn't get into it. I didn't think it was worth all the hub, right? All the buzz. So for me, I think it was a big time thing that really wasn't worth all the attention, in my opinion.
Now, after we talk to your guest, I definitely want to talk to you about something that is very important to me. And I'm hoping by the time this airs, the entire future of the network, the entire future of my family, maybe your family, could be changed by an event that could happen on Wednesday. And we'll talk about it. But first up, who's on the Vito's VIP line?
Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone will be up right after this, Doc. Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone now joining me as part of Vito's VIP line. Jeff, how's it going?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for joining me on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres. Now, you are just so credible, darn credible. You have a huge Twitter following, 74,000 plus followers on Twitter for the D-Zone. And how the heck did you build up your website and to become as credible and reputable as you have become now with you yourself and your site?
Well, one thing, you said one, I actually have a partner that's joining along, Stuart Carlin. So, the D-Zone is going to be taking off very quickly, more than what's happening. So by the time this is played live, the D-Zone is going to be even much bigger, but wow. It all boils down to building relationships, and maintaining those relationships with the kids, the coaches, the players, and everyone involved in the whole process of football. So, it's been a blessing to touch, a lot of these kids' lives and stuff by helping them provide free exposure to the communities and such. And, I enjoy doing it in the process. Well,
obviously the players like you because they give you inside scoops on the recruiting info. And so, that's a good thing for you. I know it's worked out. You build relationships, build up that rapport, and you have definitely done so through what you have been doing at the D-Zone and what you will be doing going forward. And, I know you are heavily involved with football, so you probably had no time to check out the total solar eclipse, right?
We were actually, I was meeting with my partner yesterday, and we kind of got a quick eye of it from where we were and stuff. And I was driving as it was taking place and seeing all the people out on, a 16-mile road looking out from their offices and stuff. It was pretty, good experience to be a part of.
Did you actually want to check it out? Like, did you have a thorough interest in it as well, Jeff? Or was it just something that you just kind of ended up doing because everybody else was doing it?
Well, generally, it's the only time that's going to happen, in our lifetime. So naturally, I think most people are interested in it, but it wasn't like anything that was, I'd go out of my way for. It was just, driving by, seeing people, and, I was with people when it happened. So it all kind of worked out for the best,
Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone on with me, courtesy of Vito's VIP line. And, enough about that, about the weather and the total solar eclipse, because we're not experts on that. I know you're an expert, at least, on high school football in the state of Michigan. And when I look at the schedule, the opening weekend of action, you have some tasty matchups courtesy of the Zenith Prep Kickoff Classic, run and organized by the Detroit Sports Commission, taking place Thursday through Saturday. Today is Saturday when this podcast has come out, and we have 3 great games today, great games that already had happened on Thursday and Friday. And what is your overall view of these matchups, Jeff, and specifically the Saturday slate of action with 3 games, 1 at noon, 1 at 3, 1 at 6, and that last game is Detroit King of the PSL taking on Indianapolis Cathedral, the winningest high school football program in the state of Indiana.
It's a huge day for Michigan, particularly with that King and Cathedral game. That's, like you said, the most winningest program in Indiana, so, Brother Rice played them a few years ago, and now it's King's turn. They're the top dogs in Division II, winning it back-to-back years, and they'll go up against Cathedral, who I heard lost their week 1 game. So they have all week this week of preparing for King. Well, all King has to is preparing from is their previous practice scrimmage. So it's a huge different dynamic that a lot of people aren't talking about. But Cathedral is, if anything, in more mid-season form, if there's a such thing in week 2 or week 1, whatever, perspective you look at it from. But, King's king. They got good coaches, phenomenal players coming back from that team that was the Division II champions last year. Their only 2 losses were to Cass Tech, who was, 14-0 and Division I champions. So, Kings, they're going to give Cathedral everything they have. Cathedral is going to give everything they had. They're coming here, the win. No one's coming to Detroit, just to play victim. And, so Cathedral is going to come out strong. You can take that to the bank. And, Kings, that King wants that one badly. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. That second game, Eisenhower and Oak Park's another very good game. Got Eisenhower at 10 and Oak Park at 12 in the state. So 2 teams right there. Eisenhower loses quite a bit of players, but with a very good quarterback returning in Max Whitwer, a 3-year starter, they're going to be fine. They run the triple option. They're going to go back to how it was more 2 years ago. It seems like with, more running, but still then Whitwer pass it around. And then Oak Park is, DeJuan Mathis, can't say enough about him at quarterback, one of the top 2019 recruits. And they're stacked all over the place. They're young. They got McCall coming back from injury. Justin Rogers, 2020. On the outside, you got like Enzo Jennings, Malik Carr and stuff. So, there's going to be a lot of different dynamics to this matchup with, Oak Park's athleticism and size and speed versus, a more disciplined Eisenhower team. Then the first game is the one that seems to be getting the most chatter online because the 2 teams can't stop hating on each other, and that's River Rouge and East English. Both are top 25 teams in the state. East English probably had the roughest schedule of a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. I think they finished, it was 5-4. All 4 of their losses were the playoff teams, and good ones too. So, River Rouge is a team that's really kind of climbed up from the ladder. They're D5 a few years ago when they lost in the state finals, D4 last year, and they're on that fence of almost Division III this year. So they'll probably be in D4, but they're a very good team. They got a lot of talent as well. So that's going to be a phenomenal day of football, all 3 games. I can't wait.
Jeff, regarding East English missing out on the playoffs last year at 5-4, for the first time in school history, and the school known as East English Village actually opened up in 2012, so it hasn't been that long of a history of football in the school's existence. But still, seeing that they missed out, do you think they make it into the playoffs this year, Jeff?
Yeah, they return mostly their whole team. They got a lot of skill on the outside. Tyrone Sampson's, arguably the best offensive lineman in the state, paving holes. They got another guy coming up, James Drain. He's going to be very good. They're East English just got a tough break last year with 4 tough opponents. They were close games. They lost that first game to Brighton at the Big House, which, isn't how you want to start. You're off by losing. You want to win that first game and build momentum. And unfortunately, East English, they won the games they were supposed to win, and they lost the games that they've, weren't the favorites to win. So they were kind of on the outside looking in, but they returned quite a bit, and they should make a run back at it. And the PSL kind of, every year I've done this since 2010, they've switched up their divisions every single year, and that's the case again this year. So, there's a pretty favorable schedule for East English to get back into the playoffs by getting at least 6 wins.
Focusing more on the PSL and Detroit King now specifically, what are their chances of three-peating? Over or under 50%, in your opinion, Jeff?
It's going to be very tough because you got Walled Lake Western, Lowell, 2 teams right there are going to be right in it, the semifinals. However, the MHS draws it up. They'll be seeing them. Oak Park's going to be right back up there again. I can't see, Oak Park not being, a very competitive team in the playoffs. They're pretty young, and, they have a phenomenal coach in Greg Carter. So, they're going to have some probably hiccups throughout the year. They might come on Saturday, and they might be fixed on, week 2, or, at one point that might happen because they're so young. But, Division II is going to be crazy. I had the stat last year that from 2015 to 2016, 16 teams didn't make the playoffs in 2016 in Division II that transitioned over to 2016. So last year in 2016, half of the playoff teams weren't in the playoffs the previous year, and that opened a huge hole for, several teams who kind of took advantage of that, and ran with it throughout the year. Obviously they executed well and everything, not taking anything away from them, but with so much inconsistency in Division II, it's going to pave the way for, teams like King, Oak Park, Lowell, Walled Lake Western to continue dominating, I feel like, until, someone can step up and break that trend.
Now to the D1 state champs of last year in the Detroit Cass Tech Technicians, who are loaded once again, as you know, arguably have the best player in all of the state this year in high school football in Kalen Gervin, who is going to play some offense supposedly this year too, but he's a 4-star senior defensive back. He's great. They have Jaron Mayhem at running back, 3-star wideout, Brandon Gray at receiver. Like I said, he's a Washington State commit. So they have all these talented players on both sides of the ball, and they're coming off of their first undefeated campaign in school history after going 14-0 last year. Now, what do you think about the chances of Cass Tech running the table once again and having another undefeated campaign?
Well, I mean, last year Cass Tech was, through and through the number one team in the state. They started off that way. They proved it week in, week out. The semifinal game versus Eisenhower, I thought, was the state championship. People you talked to from Saline thought their regional game was the state final. Because, that they thought that was the state. They thought that was the state championship game. So you're looking at the schedule that Cass Tech go through in the playoffs, and it's just insane that, what they'll have to go through again this year. There's going to be a ton of tests for them right off the bat. The district, they always beat Fortson, but Fortson's still a very good team, and Fortson, that's who they've lost to almost every year in the playoffs. So, one of these years, Fortson's, they're going to make those plays that they don't in the past maybe. And, they're motivated to beat Cass Tech, and that's an early game in the playoffs every year. So you look at the schedule and what Cass Tech has, they're going to be some very good football games, and they've shown that they can win these very good football games in crunch time, from the Saline game last year, winning by 1 point, the gutsy 2-point conversion call, for that one extra point that sealed the 43-42 win. Then the semifinal, of course, you can't forget Peoples-Jones' incredible play. So, he's gone. They'll have to replace him. They'll have to replace Rodney Hall, but Aaron Jackson is definitely up to the task, a senior quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see what Cass Tech does. Some people are trying to tell me they're not going to qualify for the playoffs.
Oh, come on. That's a pathetic
you don't know
take.
what you're talking about.
That's piss poor. They must be biased in some way or another. And
they say you got Pickerton, King, and Simeon, Ohio. I say you just need 6 wins. They're going to get 6 wins. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, easily that's going to happen. And Gervin, just to clarify, played some offense, has done so before, but has been blocked in the past by Donovan Peoples-Jones. Made that great catch against Ike in the semifinals last year. And Donovan Johnson at running back blocked Gervin from playing as well. And now he's got to compete with Jaron Mayhem for some spots at running back, which I know he'll see some action there, at receiver as well. So I know Coach Thomas Wilcher of Cass Tech really has some plans to showcase him on offense a lot more this season. And I know Gervin, he wants to explode onto the scene. And if he does, that could make him the number one player in all of the state and high school football this season, at least in my opinion, and in the opinion, obviously, at this point, of the Free Press, who did rank him as the best high school football player in the state of Michigan in 2017. Now, you haven't gotten to that point in ranking players in the state, from my knowledge, Jeff, but where do you think Kalen Gervin will rank eventually once you do release that portion of your rankings?
We'll have it out by then, and he is my number one prospect. 46 scholarship offers is just unheard of. A few players were reaching 40 last year, but, when you're getting these offers that Gervin is having and stuff, and no one else is, like Alabama, Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, you go down the line, Michigan State, Ohio. Well, he doesn't have Ohio State yet, but, he's just proved it this summer. He went to every one-day camp that was asked of him, ran 4.40. So, he was out here competing the whole summer, to defend that number one spot that we had him in when we released our initial class of 18 rankings earlier in 2017. So I think, he's the one who's proven that he's the number one prospect. He played like it last year, and I fully expect him to play like he's the number one prospect in the state again this year.
And I know that Jaron Mingham will be up there as well, Jeff. I really expect that to be the case. A guy that shines on the scene a lot consistently for Cass Tech. And yeah, Cass Tech, I think, is a heavy favorite. We know that to win it all once again. But, I want to talk a little bit about a team that maybe is unheralded coming into the season, and I have to bring it up because it's my alma mater, Warren De La Salle High School, who missed out on the playoffs last year. De La Salle in the first year under the former Macomb, Dakota head coach Mike Giannone went 4-5 and missed out subsequently on the postseason. Now, looking at De La Salle this year, any better chances of them just qualifying for the playoffs, Jeff?
Yeah, I think absolutely. A ton of kids transferred in, from Dakota and stuff that are, kids who are more incapable of, winning football games. They know Giannone when he was at Dakota from that program and stuff. So, what De La Salle had already and what they have coming in, they're definitely a team who I think is able to compete for the Catholic League Central, championship. It's not going to be easy, obviously, but, there's everyone kind of loses some in the Catholic League Central. Catholic Central still highly ranked at 6 in the state. St. Mary's top 10. So, it's definitely going to be tough, but, it was the first year last year and a lot of, people kind of got to get familiar with the system and stuff, so it's going to be an interesting year this year. I think they're, able to kind of get 5-4 wins at least, possibly 6. It just depends on, how they execute in these big games and such. So it's going to be interesting. And
a lot of times I know in the Catholic High School League Central Division, since it's so tough, the competition that you face each week, that you can get in at 5-4. So, De La Salle really has to win the 5 to get in, you would think. And, U of D Jesuit, man, is benefiting, from leaving the CHSL Central Division, now going down to the AA Division. That should be beneficial to U of D, who is kind of up and coming anyways at this point, too.
It definitely helps them out. Like this is they say they don't have a lot of depth and stuff, so it's a good in that regard that you kind of have these rosters that are more balanced around each other instead of the 70 to 80 kid Catholic Central rosters. So it's going to be interesting because they got a phenomenal player in Elijah Collins, who's a top 30 player at least. Or let me see where I got him at, but a very good player. Yeah, just outside of 30. I got Collins, a phenomenal lineman in Carlos Vettorello. So, U of D still has a lot of talent. It's going to be pretty big dogfight, I think, in the Catholic League AA division with them. Divine Child and Loyola. Those are 3 good teams that are going to go at it. And Divine Child has, a phenomenal quarterback in Theo Day.
Yeah.
And Aiden Hutchinson's the best DN in the state. So it's going to be fun.
Well, my heart is always with the Catholic League, okay, in any division of the Catholic League. So I hope all these teams, I wish them the best of luck and the best of success in 2017. And with all that being said, before I let you go on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres, Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone along with me on Vito's VIP line. Give me your top storylines coming into this season. 3 to 5 of them that you can think of right now off the top of your head.
Well, I think the big one is obviously the big 2, is Cass and King. If they lose this week, I hope they don't. Obviously we want the Michigan guys to take care of business. But if they do, how do they respond? How much momentum is built, if they win. And they keep it going because both of them play out-of-state teams next week. So that's my 2 thing, kind of lumping those 2 together. Then the big one, obviously, is West Bloomfield. They had a lot of kids come in. It's like, who's not going to want to come in when you have a Division I quarterback, you have a few receivers, you have, one of the craziest student sections in the state, a very good school district. So, kids are constantly coming into West Bloomfield and, they're stacked. They got 5 receivers with Division I offers. The quarterback, Bryce Veasley, who I said already has, offer. He's committed to Bowling Green. So, it's going to be crazy what West Bloomfield does this year. They have a lot of pieces in place. Lance Dixon also on defense is going to be one of the biggest breakout linebacker, safety type prospects, probably in the Midwest. He's running sub 4.4s at sub 40. Sorry, he's running below the 4.4 40s throughout the summer. So, that's a huge piece that West Bloomfield is about to unveil this year. And they'll see it first game versus Walled Lake Western, our number 4 team. So a 3-4 on that Thursday game, which is going to be phenomenal. And then the biggest other storyline I see is the 2 senior running backs, Tariq Reed and Rayshawn Allen. Reed's at Davison and Allen's at St. Mary's. Both had over 2,000 rushing yards last year. The only 2 senior backs. So we'll see what they do this year, if they can kind of replicate their success, or if their coaches kind of let people have more keys in the offense, and their production drops a little, but they're just as effective. So those are my 3 main storylines.
And what a great first week matchup with Walled Lake Western and West Bloomfield. All that talent that you talked about from West Bloomfield, and Walled Lake Western has Sam Johnson III coming in. They have this 4-star offensive tackle, Spencer Brown, committed to Michigan State right now. And then West Bloomfield, all the guys that you named off. And Coach Zudebski of Walled Lake Western, he was telling me that Bryce Beasley, who's going to Bowling Green State as of right now, is good enough to potentially play somewhere else even. He is that good to be a guy that maybe plays in one of those Power 5 Division I conferences. So we'll see if that does come to fruition. But right now, as I said, Beasley, who has looked really good so far, is committed to Bowling Green State, as you know, Jeff.
Yeah, he's a total package. I mean, at a quarterback, he's a dual threat, but he has the pocket presence and the whole, body to be that pocket QB who can sit there and just keep bombing them, picking apart a defense left and right. And that's what, at times it's going to seem like he's doing this year. And it'll be interesting to see how he brings it when they play Walled Lake Western, because he has all these receivers. He has some running backs run behind a Central Michigan offensive tackle in Javon Foster, and that often spells success. So we'll see what you got to execute at the end of the day. So we'll see what number 3 West Bloomfield does. That
offense should be dynamite, huh? I mean, you got Taj Mustafa, you got A.J. Abbott, you've got Beasley, all these other dudes. I mean, and the line, as you noted, Jeff, so they should be extremely good all season long if everything comes to fruition there at West Bloomfield, and if they gel as, a cohesive unit, which I think all of us expect to do. And I know one thing is true as well with you, Jeff, is that you allow everybody that you work with and that you talk to gel with you when they do associate with you. And I've got to let you go with that, Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone. Thanks for all the time. Much appreciated you coming on and joining us this week on Two Bad Hombres, too.
All right. Thank you for having me again.
All right. I'll talk to you. Have a good one. And rolling along on episode 33 of Two Bad Hombres with my buddy, Brett Karwowicz, who joined me for the debut episode of Tigers Talk way back in the day now, 2 summers ago. This summer's almost done, and I've been traveling, you've been traveling since, and a busy, busy man, and I'm glad to have you back on the airwaves on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, Brett. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good to hear your voice again, B.
Oh, God, I love when you say that, Brett, and especially you. You just make me so happy. And I know what made you really happy, and a lot of people in our nation this past Monday, was that darn total solar eclipse, which I barely even paid attention to, really didn't even check out. But I know you drove all the way to Nashville, Tennessee. You had the great weekend. Then you were there on Monday to view it. And so how the heck, first and foremost, did these plans come to fruition for you and your buddies, Brett?
Yeah, so basically it was about a few months ago. Our buddy Kevin, he basically... he had booked a hotel a long time ago, a few months ago, like I said, and we didn't even know about it. And he just kind of mentioned it to us saying, hey, I got a few nights booked at this hotel in Tennessee for this eclipse that's going to happen. So basically one of our other buddies, he's going away to school in a couple days here. So we just wanted to do one last thing together. Thought this would be a good opportunity to go down there, do the eclipse. So that's what we did. So, and it was just absolutely amazing.
So was it worth the cost of admission, which really was the staying overnight, the few nights over the weekend, and then Monday, from my knowledge, you guys went to a destination, to a specific location, huh? To check out the total solar eclipse too. And tell my listeners and I more about that.
Yeah, so basically we were staying just outside of Nashville in this little city called Smyrna, and we drove about an hour north for the eclipse within the exact path where this was going to happen. So basically it was a total solar eclipse. So it lasted for about 2.5 minutes, and the moon covered up, obviously, the sun for for that length of time. And it was just absolutely amazing. Like I said, we drove out to this park, and we parked out in this open field. It was just a huge event, tons of people, thousands of people. And it was like a big tailgate. And we got there, hung out for a little bit. And about an hour before the eclipse actually happened, you were able to look up at the sun as long as you had these solar glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And you could actually see the moon, starting to come over the sun. It was really, really neat. And then not until about 20 minutes before the actual total solar eclipse happened, it started to get dark outside just a little bit. There was a little bit of a haze out in the parking lot that you were able to notice. Everything seemed to be getting dim. And it's something that's really undescribable that you can't experience unless you're actually there. I mean, there's no sunrise or sunset that could actually recreate what we saw. And so slowly over those 20 minutes, it just got dimmer and dimmer. The temperature definitely cooled down. It was a hot day. It was 95 degrees out. And it just got really, really cooled down. So, we, as it got closer to the eclipse, you could see the moon getting closer and closer to covering up the sun completely. And eventually, it just kept getting darker and darker by the second too. It was just absolutely amazing. Just the level of darkness and, all surrounding the horizon was just, it looked like a sunset, like 360 degrees around you. It was just absolutely incredible. And then finally, as soon as the moon covered up the sun, you were able to take those solar glasses off. And it was just this huge ball right in front of the sun. And you could see just this glow around the moon. It's just something that the words, I mean, you have to really be there to really feel it. And it's just very powerful. And it's just absolutely amazing.
Something that mesmerizes people and gets people going, unlike me, unless you're, if you're not named Vito Churko, then I guess you really get into it. And it's mesmerizing. And I wanted to ask you, my follow-up question would be, did people start making love after sighting what they did with the total solar eclipse, Brett?
Well, I can't really answer that question for myself, but, there were weddings that day, apparently, at that moment. So I guess I would imagine so, maybe.
People were carried away by the moment, perhaps, and by those lovely glasses, which my co-host Doc here, I know, has a question about those that you were wearing during the total solar eclipse.
I was also curious, around here, everybody was definitely noticing and paying attention to anybody that was not wearing glasses because of the warning that said, hey, if you look up with the eclipse happening, you could go blind. Did you look around? Did you see anybody that was not wearing glasses trying to be all silly up there in Nashville?
Yeah, actually most people, they did have them. I didn't really see anybody looking up, thankfully, at the sun. So, I don't think I think most people there knew exactly what they were doing and knew not to. They were actually where I was at. They were handing them out for free, these glasses. So, which was pretty nice. But we had our own, of course, that we had purchased before the trip. But really, no, I was surprised. I would have thought the same thing, that I would actually see people out there being stupid and actually looking up. But during the actual event, when it was covered up completely, it was safe. So at that point, you were able to take those glasses off. But yeah, no idiots that I saw.
How much did the glasses run you?
To be honest, I think we had 5 of them it was under $10, I think.
Nice.
So they're just like, little plastic, it wasn't anything like, it was almost like a paper material, but.
Really quick, you said nobody was stupid enough, at least nearby you in Nashville, to have viewed the total solar eclipse without glasses, those protective glasses on. Well, our president, I guess, was stupid enough because he did so at the White House, and we saw
I did see that.
That went viral. That was cool to see, but that was a total Donald Trump move. But that's a topic for another day. As you know, back to those glasses, what was the make of these glasses actually? Now, you kind of already started talking about it, but what made these glasses so protective for you to be able to wear them and not to cause any harm to you and others that were viewing this total solar eclipse?
Yeah, basically, it was like a paper film. The lens was like a paper film, and when you put them on, you literally cannot see anything at all unless you're looking at a light source like the sun. So, or unless you're like standing right up to a light bulb, you see like a really faded, glow. But when you're looking directly at the sun with these glasses, you can definitely see the sun, just a small round ball up in the sky. But yeah, that's, It's basically, other than that, though, you could not see anything at all whatsoever.
So this was one of the biggest astronomical events of, well, I don't know how long, but it's been a long, long time, and this has been the biggest of the year at least. People that missed it, like myself, then, I guess we can view it April 8th on my brother's birthday in 2024 once again.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That'll be something to see, and it's right around your birthday too, Brett, I know, which is really cool for you.
Yeah, day after. So
Yeah.
I would recommend it to anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter if you're into the whole stars and sun, sky, and astronomy. It doesn't matter. I don't think it is just one of these experiences that it literally is the neatest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was just an amazing experience just to see that. I would recommend it to anybody.
Well, rave reviews from Brett Karwowicz. And Brett, my buddy, I will leave you with that. Thanks for joining me on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres, and courtesy of Vito's VIP line, by the way.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate being on. And anytime you want me to come on in the future, I'd be glad to. So,
all right, thank you, Brett. I'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Vito.
And back on Two Bad Hombres, that was, well, first, Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone, and then after that, it was Brett Karwowicz, my good buddy from back during my elementary school days at St. Thecla. He went to high school with me as well. Didn't go to college with me. He went to Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, so he's a Chippewa for life. Fire it up, Chippewa for life. And Doc, what did you have to take away from all of those, those two different conversations?
Definitely, Vito. I'm excited for the high school football. Oh, my goodness. Prep football, the PSL League. Oh, my goodness. So many different storylines that, for me, I'm not really big on high school football, but now that we get a chance to follow along with the D-Zone and yourself covering high school football with the various social media accounts that you run, I'm looking forward to it this year as well. And for me, in relation to what Brett said, my wife wants to take me and the girls to Cleveland in 2024. I think we're making a trip out there to see the eclipse. This go around, I wasn't really into it, but the next go around, my wife wants to make a trip of it with our daughters, who will be much older, will be teenagers by then, so I look forward to it.
I think we have to check it out the next time around, and it's coming sooner than later, as you said, in 2024, once again on my brother Dominic Chirko's birthday, which is really cool for him, because he's kind of a wannabe meteorologist, a guy that checks this out, all this astronomy stuff, so he's really fascinated by all of it, and I think he will really enjoy it, and I think both you and I will thoroughly enjoy it too the next time around.
Before we start talking about the Powerball, I just want to tell everybody about our host site, Podomatic. The reason why you're able to hear great guests, the reason why, Vito, that we're able to have great phone calls, great podcasts each and every day that airs on the network is because of the fact we have a great host site. Adam and I, we've recorded 600 podcasts. All the hosts, we upload all of our recorded audio to Podomatic.com. Why do you ask? Simple fact is, it's quick, easy. Once we're done recording, we can upload it within 5 to 10 minutes, just like that, generate links so that all of our supporters across the United States and even internationally can support our network. So it's fun to use a great host site that's been around since 2005. So if you're looking to start a brand new podcast, all the hosts here on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network, we recommend Podomatic.com. All right, Vito, by the time this airs, I will have probably spent around $50 on the Powerball. Now, if no one hits on Wednesday, damn near could hit $900 million. But at the time of this recording, the jackpot is $700 million. Second largest lotto prize pool of all time. My goodness, $700 million. And so when you think of that, you start inevitably to wonder, ooh, if I hit the lotto, what would happen? What would I do? Would I be a person that sticks with the job? Would I still be a psychologist? Would I even still have this network if I hit the lotto big? Because you're looking at minimum $300 million cash in the bank if you win this, because you're going to probably get like $450 or so. Taxes going to get taken out. You could walk away with $300 million cash in hand in the bank if you walk away with the lump sum on a $700 million payout. Are you big into the lotto, and do you have any parameters? Like for me, usually, obviously, I don't play the lotto that much because they call it the sucker's tax, but when it gets to around $150 million, whether it be the Mega Millions or the Powerball, it sucks that this go around is the Powerball because each ticket's $2, but it's a huge jackpot, man, $700 million. Did you buy tickets?
I have not. I've never gotten into lottery tickets, buying them, and I feel like wasting my money on them because the chances of you winning are slim to none. I know that much, too, and winning big. Now, you could win very big with this big, I know, this time around with the $700 million. Yeah, I know. That's a big one.
Vito, $6.
To take a chance on, at least, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, take a chance. You got to go buy 3 tickets worth $6. You got to go at least run them and see what happens, because if you don't enter, you can never win. It is really a long shot. Of course, you don't plan your life thinking you're going to win the lotto. But if you never buy a ticket, you never have a chance. And so I think this go around, you gotta buy $6 worth.
So give yourself a chance, you're saying. At least, give yourself a playing field, right? A field to play with by buying a lotto ticket. I mean, you could just win with one, right? I mean, you could. Wouldn't that be something? These people that buy all these lotto tickets.
The likelihood is with this much in the prize pool that there's going to be more than one winner. But if there's only one, you get the lion's share, you get the whole amount. But there is a special feeling you get when you get the ticket in hand. You start inevitably to wonder, ooh, what would happen? How would I react? What would I do with the money and stuff like that? And so I say to myself, look, and so when I ponder and I think about what I would do with, $700 million, I would say I'm going to retire from the practice. Okay. What I would do though is maybe buy this whole complex and have others rent it out for the purpose of psychology, where it's not just my little spot here in the complex. The entire complex will be rented out pretty affordably, maybe even below market rate. Whereas if the market's like $14 a square foot, I'll charge maybe 10. And so maybe just break even on the land and such, and let people come and practice, maybe pay rent like $300-400 a month, make it really affordable, make it so that this little center here in Sterling Heights can be known for quality mental health services. And then a wing, maybe we could have an expanded studio with professional glass, and maybe just hire one full-time.
But say we could pay some people too to actually come in and podcast with us too.
Not
that
you.
have a following already, like big name people.
Yeah.
Right?
Not
Wouldn't
you.
that be a plan?
Not you. You'll continue on
you
at
would
the same
just,
rate.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you.
You'll
Yeah, no
continue.
additional income for me because I don't deserve it. Yeah.
Of course, Vito. I'll tell you now. I'm going to go out after this recording, and I'm probably going to buy in the neighborhood of $10 to $20 worth. So either 5 or 10 tickets, 5 lines or 10 lines of tickets. If I hit, okay, you're going to get something from me.
Oh, good God. Finally, he's willing to be charitable.
If I hit the
and
lotto,
give me
Vito,
some money.
I'm going to hit you up. Don't worry. I'll take care of your loans. You got loans?
I do, so you better really take care of them, all right?
I'll take care of your loans and maybe move you closer out to this way so that we can hang out and have more fun. Would you then invite me to things?
Well, I guess then I would be forced to, so maybe don't move me out closer to
All
you
right.
so I don't have to, invite you.
So pray extra hard that I win, because I'll take care of your student loans and put some cash in your pocket, because shoot, $300 million, you know what I'm going to do? The first thing they say to do, though, there are pitfalls. Lots and lots of stories. If you read about people who win the lotto, their life gets ruined because everybody sues them. You have to start looking at people cross-eyed because you don't know what their intentions are.
Yep.
You don't know everybody's looking to sue you. What they tell you to do is they definitely tell you to get financial advice right away. Now, if anybody is a supporter of this podcast and downloads it, hits the lotto and wins, I'm going to tell you this. The first thing you got to do is you got to get a financial advisor. You got to get someone to watch over your money, and the Powerball Lotto people will help you with that. You don't want to be doing this all by yourself, sinking in investments right away or blowing the money. What they'll tell you to do is, look, just take like $1 million. Let's say you have $305 million that's going to be in the bank. Take $1 million and just blow it. Just spend it on whatever. Get that out of your system. Buy your jet skis, buy your boats, maybe pay off a mortgage or buy a car. Make big purchases with $1 million. The rest, you don't touch for like 6 months to a year. Just let it sink in, let it accrue interest. Don't blow it all in one shot. Don't go buying 3 and 4 houses all in one shot, because once you get into that habit of spending, shit, it's hard to break.
You don't stop spending.
You don't stop.
Yeah.
So they say take a certain amount and just blow it. Blow it all, enjoy it, and then live regularly. Try to get back to any sense of normalcy as you can. Most people will buy a house. Most people will do some things in terms of charity, giving money to friends and taking care of things. But the biggest thing that happens to people when they win the lotto is they start living well above their means. And you got to remember, when you go from middle class to upper class, you got to realize that there's expenses that add up. Like if you buy $1 million house, it's not cheap. You're paying in upwards of like $20,000 to $30,000 a year in taxes. So that stuff adds up. And what tends to happen is people start supporting other people. You retire all your friends and family. That stuff adds up. If you're paying everybody $30,000 a year across the board, that stuff adds up. So if anyone wins the lotto, definitely come talk to me. I'm a psychologist. I'll help you stay grounded. I'll help you professionally, being your life coach for a long period of time.
For big money too.
No, standard rates. I won't significantly, elevate the rates. Maybe just a little bit above normal, but in the end, I'm hoping that somebody who listens, or I'm hoping that maybe someone I know wins the lotto. But you've never, in the past, in the last 7 years, being that you're from 17 to 24, you've never gotten into the group lotto pool where you kick in $10, and the way that most people increase the odds, and what typically happens is a company, let's say there's like 50 people, each person kicks in $20. Okay, 50 people at $20 is 1,000 tickets. That increases your odds, but everybody's going to get $1 million plus. You know what I mean? If someone hits 300 million, you're going to get 6 million right off the bat. So that's how most people win, is they get into these pools and they pool their money in order to potentially win the lotto and increase their odds. But there's problems in there too, because there's been people that have bought their own tickets on the side and it gets all convoluted. So if you are in a group pool, the advice would be each ticket that's bought for the group pool has to be copied, and everybody has to have a copy of all the winning numbers. That way it's fair, because let's say me, you, Adam, and Jason do a pool and we buy $100 worth, and I go on the side and buy $50 worth, and that number hits. You guys are going to come back and be like, whoa, which ticket is which here? So the way you do it so that nobody gets screwed is every ticket that's bought in the pool gets copied and scanned, and everybody gets a copy of all the numbers. It's spread around in a contract form so that if you buy your own ticket, sometimes people put in the agreement, nobody buys their separate tickets outside of this pool, or they say, these are the numbers that we have. So you got to watch out for that, because when it comes to $300 million, if I did a pool with you, I might just get my ass to Costa Rica and be like, screw you, piss off, little ant.
Well, yeah, erroneous decisions are made by even your closest friends and family members. And I've seen where somebody has supplied housing for everybody, but in the same house. It's like a mansion, retirement mansion.
Even better, party
residence.
house.
How about that? For everybody, all your family, relatives. Thing is, though, do you want to get that close to your relatives?
Space, though. You
need your space. You do. You have your separate locations throughout that mansion, like separate, places where you reside throughout that mansion. But the thing is, like a retirement home complex. But the thing is, you want to be that close still? Even with that little bit of space? I mean, it's only a little bit of space that you have from your relatives.
Probably I would upgrade my residence in Michigan and then buy a place in Florida or a nice weather place that I can go to during the winter months and for retirement.
We could use that.
What would you do with the
upgrade.
money? What would you do with the money, Vito?
With the money, if I want it, I would maintain some sense of normalcy and probably put it all towards my college loan debts, pay off those big time first and foremost, and put the rest into my bank account, baby. I want to keep it there. I probably would invest in something, invest in stocks, start up my own LLC officially with my own headquarters here in Sterling Heights or somewhere closer to where I reside in Clinton Township, and make myself an entrepreneur, make an entity out of it, make myself an entity. And you see these players, these celebrities branding themselves now, right, as entities, such as King James, LeBron James, that is, a guy that doesn't need to upgrade in any sense of the word, right, because he has, just a lavish lifestyle. He's able to do that because of all the money he has earned throughout the years playing in the NBA. And the point I'm trying to get at is that in my Vito's bad tweet of the week, has to deal with LeBron James tweeting from his handle at King James. He tweeted out, "Hate has always existed in America. Yes, we know that, but Donald Trump just made it fashionable again. Statues has nothing to do with us now." So it was in relation to the uprise of protesting in Charlottesville, Virginia, by neo-Nazis, white supremacist individuals, people that, don't have the best morals or values, obviously, by them protesting. And they want to get rid of African Americans, get rid of Jews, want to make this nation white again, in so many words. And that's never going to happen. And also, it wasn't about the statues, truly, about protesting and conserving the Confederate statues that honor, these Confederate generals such as Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson and the former Confederate president, Jefferson Davis. It wasn't about conserving and or preserving those Confederate statues of those, great Confederate leaders from way back, from years past, and like I said, way, way back, so long ago that these statues don't even deserve to be up anymore. So why weren't these statues taken down a long time ago? And once again, to really call, Trump then said those statues are beautiful statues, to call them beautiful statues and to make it more about that, the fact that, saying that these white supremacists were protesting to preserve these Confederate statues of these Confederate leaders, making it more about that than what they were actually protesting for, that was wrong in the eyes of many, and especially in the eyes of the relatives of that individual whose life was lost, remember, as a result of this protesting too by the white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And on the other side, the alt-left, as Trump characterized these other people who were just trying to hush and put down these people on the alt-right side that were protesting, in support of this white supremacist movement. So the others on the other side, the alt-left side of the protest, as Trump put it, they weren't in the wrong, and there truly weren't great people on both sides. Okay? So I think that's where Trump really, he fell victim to the fact he didn't come out and say the right thing at first. Then he did condemn the white supremacists, and then he said there were bad people, on both sides, that both sides were to blame of the big-time protesting in Charlottesville, Virginia, and that's where he went awry. And that's why a guy like King James, he came out and said what he did, and guess what? He has a platform to do so. I don't find anything wrong with him just because he has millions of dollars and is a big name. I have nothing wrong with him coming out and tweeting out what he did in condemnation of Donald Trump in his words regarding Charlottesville, Virginia.
All credit to LeBron James. I think that he has been a person that has been willing to speak up on social issues. And if an athlete wants to take that platform, they recognize that it comes with both positives and negatives. And yeah, I think most people will say that, last week was not the best week for the president. And we just hope that what we have to do as a country, irregardless of your politics, is we have to unite.
Yeah.
You're always wrong. I'm always right.
Yes, and I'm always right. You're always wrong. That's how I view it. But we have to come together, right? As one unified body.
No. What we have to do is you spew your wrong thoughts all the time, and I spew my right thoughts, and we work together to come to an understanding as people. In that you can be wrong all the time, but you're still welcome to come sit across from me and have a dialogue. Now, you can disagree with me. You can view my opinions as being right or wrong, but at the very least, I know you respect me. I respect you some of the time. And
thank you for some of the time.
And that's what makes this relationship work, is that we don't have to agree on everything, but we definitely respect each other in the end. And we feel, and we can recognize there are going to be some issues that we disagree upon, but I always want to hear all the wrong shit that comes out of your mouth. I always want to hear it.
You.
No problem,
all
Vito.
The nonsense that I spew, huh? That's what you want to hear.
The shit that's wrong that comes out of your mouth. I always want to hear it. You're always welcome to say it. That's what makes this country great. And I think that's where people have to get better at, is if there's opposing viewpoints, try not to get so angry, try to understand, try to engage in dialogue to relieve as much ignorance as you can. As you can. Now, I'm not supporting things that obviously cannot be supported. Obviously, Nazis, racist, intolerance. You can never, ever support that. But what I'm saying is if you have an opportunity to talk to people and have an opportunity to engage in proper dialogue and proper debate, I'm always of the opinion, remove the anger, remove the frustrations, and be able to sit across from people and just have a dialogue.
And calmly talk about issues, right?
Exactly.
Not yelling at each other at the top of your lungs and calling each other names, right? That's when it becomes ugly. And that's why the nation is divided right now, because there's a lot of people on both sides that don't get it, that don't realize that you have to have calm, sensible dialogue, right? In order to calm matters or resolve them, right? Resolve the large issues in this nation today.
I'll wrap up my point with this. My purpose in communication is not to debate people. My purpose in communication is to understand what you're saying. And so if the other party does the same thing, then we have more of a listening ear instead of a debating ear. Meaning, if my goal is to try to get you on my side and your goal is to try and get me on your side, you're going to clash. No, when we come and we have conversations, I try to understand your point of view, and I hope that you do the same for me and try to understand my point of view. And I think that's where the art of debate has been lost, is that what's ending up happening is people that are debating are not trying to understand each other, they're trying to win an argument. And so for me, if you're on the left, I recognize that no matter what I say, I'm not going to convince you to come on my side. And what I'll try to do is help frame my ideas and my thoughts in a way that'll help you understand where I'm coming from. And I'll do the same in return. I'm not going to try to turn you, I'm not going to try to flip you and try to make you change your mind. I'm not going to get mad at you. I'll respectfully disagree with points that I'm not happy with, and I'll make my points each and every time I have a discussion. I think that's where the issues are getting lost, is people are getting way too heated, way too argumentative, and it breaks down communication. I think that's why I love doing this podcast with you, is that I get to hear all your wrong thoughts and try to help you understand where I'm coming from.
It's worthwhile to have peaceful dialogue where we're both right and wrong at times. And I just hope our president realizes that he's going to be right and wrong as well, and he's not always right. And the fake media, the news outlets that he calls fake media are not always wrong either, and sometimes are actually revealing facts that he just doesn't like, and that's why he labels it as fake news. But I wanted to say, I just hope he also listens to everybody in America, every single American. So white, Caucasian males and females, but also African Americans, Muslim Americans, people of all colors, ethnicities, and races. Because we have to, right, as human beings, we should be doing that. I just hope that Trump also is respectful of every American's needs. That's what I hope that we get out of our president. And I think that's what should be expected of the president, too, of this nation, Doc.
Sounds great, Vito. Always enjoy the conversation. I'm thankful we get a chance to hang out on the weekends. Great stuff, sir. Thanks to our guests. I really enjoyed this hour.
Yeah, Jeff Corrion of the D-Zone and Brett Karwowicz, my good buddy from elementary, middle school, high school, all throughout my life. He's always been by my side, a loyal friend, and maybe to a fault because, it's me that he's loyal to. But I am very respectful of all of you for being loyal listeners and appreciate all of you for tuning into every single week, I hope, of Two Bad Hombres. And tune in once again to next week's edition of the podcast, too. And until then, have a great week. Adios.
Head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't care.